situation in Africa with a special focus on COVID-19. It is my pleasure to invite Honorable Chairperson Solomon Deso to assume the floor and lead the debate.
Once again, a very warm welcome to Excellencies, representatives of state parties, representatives of national human rights institutions, representatives of civil society organizations, and of course, most of all, representatives of sister human rights bodies of the African Union. All of you, you are very warm welcome. As Madam Lindiwe, the acting executive secretary of the Commission indicated, we now start item 3 of the agenda of the public session, which deals with the situation of human rights in Africa, with a focus on human and people's rights in the context of COVID-19. We have started in the morning by setting the scene through the various statements and remarks made during the opening address. We have received requests for intervention, as you all know. The idea is that state parties of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, national human rights institutions, then civil society organizations take the floor in that order. And it's also important to remember that they do so observing the usual rules as far as the time intervention is concerned. So I think from the list that we have received so far, I would like also to indicate to colleagues, excellencies, representatives of states, NHRIs and civil society organizations to continue registering for taking the floor. It is based on the usual registration process that we would be having all representatives to take the floor. So now we would be starting with the state party. I do hope that those who requested the floor are present and here with us. I would also like to remind us, for those who are not speaking, to keep their mics off, to keep it on mute, so that we are able to communicate clearly and properly. With those housekeeping or observations, I would like now to call on the representative of the United Republic of Tanzania, Honorable Dr. Mwigulu Nchemba, Minister for Constitutional Affairs of the United Republic of Tanzania. Minister Nchemba, are you there? One of the difficulties with the virtual session, I think, that we are going to encounter, in respect of which we beg for your indulgence, dear participants, is the fact that although we have registration, we may not be able to know whether or not colleagues who registered to make statement are present. We have to establish a way of ensuring that. So I'm not sure if Minister Nchemba of the United Republic of Tanzania is with us. I understand that he's not with us. So we proceed therefore to National Human Rights Commission. I do have one National Human Rights Commission request, and this is from Comisión Nacional Saharaui de Droit de l'Homme, Abba El Hassan Salek, affiliation number 26. Are you there? Do we have Abba El Hassan Salek?
Wow, the and then
I don't see any indication whether or not the representative of the National Human Rights Commission of Sahrawi is there. All right. May I then read the list of civil society organizations who have requested for the floor so that we have a clear indication of whether they are available to take the floor. International Service for Human Rights. International Service for Human Rights. Do we have a representative of the International Service for Human Rights? Etong Kame. Etong Kame.
Atwell, can you assign me, please?
Okay. Okay, I see Etong. Do we have the representative of International Service for Human Rights? If you are there, okay, if you are there, kindly take the floor. This is the International Service for Human Rights, observer status number 53. Etong, you have the floor, please.
Hello, can you hear me? OK. Monsieur le Président, honorable commissaire et ta partie, chers délégués, permettez-moi tout d'abord de féliciter les nouveaux commissaires pour leur nouvelle fonction au sein de la Commission. Nous nous réjouissons d'ores et déjà de pouvoir travailler avec eux sur certaines des problématiques les plus importantes pour la garantie de l'état de droit et de la protection des droits humains en Afrique. Nous tenons également à féliciter la Commission africaine pour l'organisation successive de sa 28e section extraordinaire et de sa 66e section ordinaire en ligne. Malgré les défis que cela sous-tend, elle continue de garantir l'inclusion de la société civile et d'assurer que celle-ci puisse s'exprimer. Depuis le début de l'année 2020, l'Afrique fait face à la pandémie du Covid-19, affectant tous les aspects de la vie de ses citoyens. Cette pandémie a notamment requis de chaque État partie à la Charte africaine de prendre des mesures spécifiques en vue de lutter contre la propagation du virus et assurer la sécurité de sa population. C'est pourquoi, au vu des défis que cela continue d'entraîner, nous tenons à féliciter le Malawi pour l'organisation et la tenue de ces récentes élections présidentielles. La Cour constitutionnelle et la Cour suprême du Malawi ont montré leur indépendance, ainsi que la maturité croissante des institutions démocratiques du Malawi, en statuant en faveur d'un processus électoral crédible. Un résultat qui n'aurait pas été possible sans l'influence de la société civile. Néanmoins, certains États ont utilisé la situation et instrumentalisé des réglementations ayant initialement pour but de protéger la population pour accentuer la répression contre les défenseurs des droits humains, restreindre davantage l'espace de la société civile et plus largement la jouissance de nombreuses libertés fondamentales. Lutter contre le Covid-19 ne doit pas servir de prétexte aux États autoritaires pour accentuer l'adoption de mesures liberticides et étouffer les voix dissidentes. Au Zimbabwe, 3 militantes ont été arrêtées à un poste de contrôle de la police à Harare, puis enlevées, torturées et agressées sexuellement. Ces 3 femmes s'en allaient participer à une manifestation pacifique organisée le 13 mai 2020 par l'Assemblée de la jeunesse de l'Alliance du principal parti d'opposition, le Mouvement pour le changement démocratique. Après près de 48 heures, les 3 femmes ont été relâchées dans un marché. Elles ont été immédiatement hospitalisées pour être soignées pour des blessures infligées lors de leur détention. Quelques jours plus tard, elles ont été accusées d'avoir enfreint la réglementation relative au Covid-19 sur les rassemblements publics et d'avoir prétendument l'intention de promouvoir la violence publique et la rupture de la paix. Nous assistons également à de nombreuses attaques contre les journalistes, rapportant ces utilisations excessives de la force, comme cela fut le cas en mars contre un journaliste à Mombasa au Kenya qui filmait la police dans l'exercice de leurs fonctions. ACHPR rappelle aux États que chaque mesure prise pour affronter la crise sanitaire doit être justifiée et proportionnée, s'exercer sans discrimination et dans des délais raisonnables. De plus, toute attaque contre les journalistes va à l'encontre de la résolution 185 de la Commission africaine sur la sécurité des journalistes. ACHPR appelle le Zimbabwe à abandonner les charges contre les femmes défenseurs et à poursuivre les auteurs de ces exactions. Les États se doivent d'assurer la protection effective des femmes contre toutes les violences, notamment sexuelles. Monsieur le Président, en vue de faire respecter les mesures adoptées par les gouvernements visant à limiter la propagation du virus, dans certains pays, les autorités se sont soumises à un usage excessif de la force, ayant dans certains cas entraîné la mort. Au Nigeria, la police a été mise à l'honneur pour avoir brutalisé les communautés qu'elle est censée protéger. Selon la Commission nigériane des droits de l'homme, les agents de sécurité ont tué au moins 18 civils en essayant de faire respecter les restrictions imposées par l'État pour contenir la propagation du Covid-19. En Afrique du Sud, des vidéos de brutalité et humiliation policière contre les individus ayant enfreint les restrictions imposées le 26 mars sont devenues virales sur les réseaux sociaux. Certaines vidéos montrent des soldats donnant des coups de pied à des individus et les forçant à se rouler sur le sol. D'autres ont été forcés de marcher en grenouille jusqu'à leur domicile. Même en cas d'état d'urgence, le recours à la force reste guidé par les principes de légalité, de nécessité, de proportionnalité et de précaution. Ils exigent que l'usage de la force et des armes à feu soit évité et que tout moyen non violent possible soit épuisé avant de recourir à des moyens violents. Par conséquent, nous exhortons les gouvernements à condamner de telles actions et à tenir les agents responsables. Enfin, Monsieur le Président, ces 5 dernières années, de plus en plus d'États africains sont en voie où on fait de la protection juridique des défenseurs des droits humains une réalité au niveau national. Il est important que ces avancées ne soient pas anéanties ou dénaturées par les violations commises au nom du combat contre le Covid-19. Il est important que les États continuent de s'assurer de la mise en œuvre de ces lois en cette période de crise. Pour assurer un respect des mesures prises.
May I ask Etong to wrap up, please?
Je vous remercie.
Okay, thank you very much, International Service for Human Rights, for highlighting some of the human rights issues that have been observed in specific individual countries, particularly in respect to attacks on members of civil society organizations, also the restrictions on members of the media and the free press, the point that have been highlighted in respect to the use of force by security institutions, which obviously gives rise to whether or not there are additional guidelines that need to be given by the African Commission, particularly in terms of how security institutions play a constructive role in enabling citizens to comply with public health measures rather than using excessive force in relation to public health emergencies. There is also okay, I think, colleagues, when there are issues that we need to address, kindly use the chat platform through which we can then follow up on issues that we need to follow up. I'm sure Etwell has taken note of your request, and I do hope that Etwell will urgently attend to it. Thank you. With respect to the state of emergency as well, I think there are questions that have been raised as to what the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, what kind of guidance the Charter provides as far as state of emergency is concerned, and if there is a need for the Commission to also address this issue of state of emergency, state of disaster, and how they need to be done in compliance with the standards of proportionality, necessity, and also compliance with basic rights. We also echo the successful conclusion of the election in Malawi. It is a remarkable achievement for which the contribution of the judiciary in Malawi and civil society organizations have been remarkable. We accordingly also pay tribute to the judiciary and civil society organizations in Malawi for their contributions and also for the role that they have played. And indeed, prior to the convening of the election, the Commission issued a statement in relation to the situation in Malawi through the country rapporteur of Malawi, urging the government to respect the decision and independence of the judiciary with a view to enable credible, free and fair elections to be held in Malawi. And that happened, so we congratulate them for that. Now the next speaker is African Policing Civilian Oversight Forum. African Policing Civilian Oversight Forum, Louise Edwards, Observer Status number 372. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chair. So the African Policing Civilian Oversight Forum is a not-for-profit trust based in South Africa. We acknowledge the end of the term of the former honourable commissioners. We thank them for their work on strengthening human rights on the African continent. And we very much welcome the appointment of the 4 new commissioners and want to extend our congratulations to the new chairperson, with whom we look forward to engaging during this session and the duration of your term. We hope that under the chairperson's leadership, the African Commission can continue to bring attention to critical human rights issues that may arise as a result of measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19, but also issues that are at risk of being forgotten or neglected because of the focus on the COVID-related challenges. First, I want to speak briefly to the issue of human rights impact to the enforcement of COVID-19 related regulations. So to limit the spread, a number of member states have implemented regulations and policies and other measures to curtail the movement and gathering of people, sometimes under declarations of states of emergency or disaster, which allow for the of various constitutionally protected human rights.
لكل
Measures to address a
مساكن
public health
مختلفة
crisis
لحقوق
must be
الإنسان
evidence-based and both necessary and proportionate to the
وهناك
objective of curbing
إجراءات
the spread of
ضرورية
COVID-19.
فيما يتعلق
There's an
بهذا
unfortunate
الأمر
trend across member states towards
لكن
blanket
هذه
application
الأمور
and suspension of
تدفع
rights
الدول
and the
العادة
use of criminal law to penalise infringements of these regulations. And those who are unable to comply with the limitations on movement and gatherings, particularly when those orders to isolate or stay at home are made impossible by homelessness or informal or overcrowded housing, bear the brunt of increasingly brutal and militarised policing responses. That states have taken an overwhelmingly securitized response to a public health crisis is deeply concerning, and there's growing evidence that the enforcement of so-called lockdown measures has resulted in the violation of human rights, including the right to life and freedom from torture, as for example, Mr. Collins Causa and his death at the hands of South African law enforcement. So we urge the African Commission to remind states of their obligation to respect the rule of law and to ensure that any limitations on rights enshrined in the Charter are legitimate, proportionate and necessary to the public health objective. And we ask the Commission to further remind states of the requirement under the Charter to ensure prompt, impartial and effective investigations and to promote a culture of accountability in response to any human rights violations by law enforcement officials. We're also concerned about policing and xenophobic violence in South Africa. As the Commission is aware, South Africa, while it's made significant progress towards achieving equality and dignity since 1994, this is not necessarily extended to people who are non-nationals in this country. The nature of the violence has had a particular impact on the rights of affected individuals and communities, not just to their right to life and to safety and security, but to key socioeconomic rights such as the right to work and trade, access to housing and freedom of movement. We've had successive inquiries, research, interventions, including by the African Commission into the causes and the impact of xenophobic violence in South Africa over the past 11 years. And a common thread has been the concern about the capacity of the police to prevent, detect and investigate. In Resolution 304, condemning the xenophobic violence in 2015, the African Commission called on South Africa to comply with its human rights obligations, including that perpetrators of violence are held accountable in accordance with the law. So APCOF requests the Commission to remind South Africa about its obligation to ensure accountability and reiterate the critical role played by SAPS in the prevention, detection and response to xenophobic violence and related hate crimes, including the obligation to investigate to ensure that perpetrators of the violence are held accountable. And finally, to raise the issue of arbitrary arrest for minor offences, we commend the Commission for the last 15 years on the adoption of a range of interpretive instruments, such as the Luanda Guidelines and the Principles on the Decriminalisation of Petty Offences, that have provided guidance to states on policing issues. But arbitrary arrest, particularly in relation to minor and petty offences, is still a critical human rights issue. And one of the key challenges is the lack of alternatives to arrest that are both available and responsive to the unique constraints experienced by our criminal justice systems on this continent. Therefore, APCOF calls on the Commission to consider a study into this critical issue related to Article 6 of the Charter, which we say intersects with others, including Article 2 on non-discrimination and Article 5 on ill treatment, particularly as arbitrary arrest is a cause of detention overcrowding. We thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much for your statement, highlighting a number of issues of human rights arising in the context of COVID, particularly observing the militarized and securitized nature of security, the response of security institutions to a public health emergency, which is not supposed to be securitized or militarized, and highlighting also once again the necessity for security institutions to observe the requirements and standards applicable in these situations. Situations of state of emergency or state of disaster are not a blanket permission for using force in any way that security institutions deem fit. So I think we take note of that. We also take note of the points that have been highlighted in relation to addressing xenophobic attacks, which have also been observed in the context of COVID-19. Now I have been informed that the Minister for Constitutional Affairs of the United Republic of Tanzania, Honorable Dr. Mwigulu Nchemba, have joined us. Minister, if you are here with us, you are very welcome. And we give you the floor to make your statement. And may I ask to all colleagues, please, to have your mic on, but also your video on, when you are making the statement. Kindly put on your video on. Thank you. Minister, are you there? I have seen in the chat indicating that Minister Nchemba is available. I see. I see Tanzania. Is that the minister? Hello? Okay, it looks like that we don't have. Do we have Tanzania online? Do we have Minister Nchemba? Are you trying to connect, Minister? I see Tanzania. Your mic is off. Hmm? Okay, while Minister Nchemba is preparing to take the floor, may I request the next speaker, number 3 on the list. In the interest of not mutilating the name, which is written in French, may I ask observer, the NGO with observer status number 48, Malen Ndi Snohae Combate. Are you there?
Allô?
Yes, please.
Allô, vous me recevez?
Please proceed. Thank you. Thank
Monsieur
you.
le Président de la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples, honorable commissaire, tout protocole strictement observé.
Please kindly.
Le réseau ouest-africain.
Excuse me,
Allô?
hold on. Yes, can you put the video on?
Wow. La vidéo ne passe pas?
No, we can't.
Monsieur le Président, la vidéo ne passe pas. J'essaie, mais ça ne passe pas.
Okay, all right, proceed in that case.
D'accord, Monsieur le Président. Le réseau ouest-africain des défenseurs des droits humains salue les efforts consentis par les pays de la sous-région ouest-africaine dans la lutte contre la pandémie du Covid-19 et apprécie à sa juste valeur l'adoption par le Niger en janvier dernier d'un projet de loi visant à incriminer davantage la torture. Concernant la riposte à la pandémie de la Covid-19, le réseau estime que les États de la sous-région auraient obtenu de meilleurs résultats en adoptant une approche basée sur les droits de l'homme, inclusive de la société civile. Parce que ce ne fut pas le cas, la riposte à la pandémie s'est commuée en une remise en cause des instruments africains universels des droits de l'homme. Le droit à la santé, à la sécurité, à la vie, à la liberté de réunion et de manifestation pacifique et son corollaire, la liberté d'expression, de même que la liberté de circulation, ont été mises à rude épreuve lors de la riposte à la pandémie, entraînant des atteintes à l'intégrité physique des personnes, des arrestations et détentions, et plus de 20 morts seulement en 15 jours de couvre-feu dans la sous-région. Les armes ne se sont pas tuées en Afrique de l'Ouest. Le réseau est conscient des attaques terroristes dont est victime la sous-région. Cependant, le contre-terrorisme ne saurait justifier ni le génocide contre les populations peules au Burkina Faso, encore moins l'exécution extrajudiciaire et la mutilation des corps de 2 Touaregs par des soldats nigériens à bord de véhicules blindés. De même, la réponse aux revendications légitimes de nos peuples ne devrait non plus être la baïonnette comme au Mali, et encore moins la prison ou l'exil. Les menaces et harcèlements dont sont victimes les défenseurs des droits de l'homme en cette période renforcent l'autocensure. En exemple, un défenseur des droits de l'homme du Burkina Faso a retrouvé une balle de fusil à l'entrée de son domicile. Nonobstant l'appel de l'OMS et de la Haute-Commissaire des Nations Unies à libérer les prisonniers, les arrestations et détentions des défenseurs des droits humains continuent. C'est dans ce contexte, Monsieur le Président, honorable commissaire, que le réseau est-africain des défenseurs des droits humains demande humblement à la Commission d'insister auprès des États suivants pour la remise en liberté des défenseurs des droits humains. Il s'agit au Niger, la remise en liberté des défenseurs des droits de l'homme Maman Karami, Mustafa Adam dit Obama, Moudi Moussa, Halidou Moukaila, Michael Zodi et la journaliste et blogueuse Samira Sabou. Au Nigeria, Aboubakar Idrissaka, Aboubakar Moubarak Bala et Mohamed Youssouf alias Adi Aï, dans l'état de Kano, Gabriel Ogbona. Au Bénin, Nora Okumaso et le syndicaliste Laurent Métognon. En Sierra Leone, Dr Sylvia Bliden, Aïsata Paulo Conte, Hussein Mekson. En Guinée, Saïkou Yaya Diallo, Fassou Goumou, Oumar Silla, alias Fonike Mangué et toutes les personnes arrêtées pour s'être opposées au 3e mandat du président de la République. Enfin, Monsieur le Président, le réseau voudrait solliciter de la Commission qu'il soit demandé au Burkina Faso de prendre des dispositions urgentes pour rendre les corps des défenseurs des droits humains assassinés en 2019, afin de permettre à leurs proches de faire le deuil. Monsieur le Président, honorable commissaire, merci pour votre attention.
Apologies about the speed. We will inform colleagues when they take the floor, make a statement, to read their statement as slow as possible. We have taken note of the point relating to the law that was adopted in Niger with respect to the criminalization of torture. We also take note of the list of human rights issues that have emerged in the context of COVID-19 that have been highlighted. And we in particularly take note of the spike in terrorist attacks in the Sahel and parts of the Lake Chad Basin region, which have led to excessive use of force, particularly indicating a very troublesome development with the killing of civilians in the context being caught up in this counter terrorism measures being taken by states, and also the reported assassination of civil society members as well. We take note of those. I'm sure country reporters also have taken note of that. I'm not sure if we have Minister with us. Minister, if you are ready to take the floor now, kindly take the floor. I hope you have managed to get connected with us. Minister Nchemba, are you with us?
Hello.
Excellent. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh,
We were having some problems with the connection. Do you hear me now?
we hear you loud and clear, and we would appreciate it as part of the protocol for this session. We were asking colleagues to put the camera, the video on as well. So if you put on the video on as well, we would appreciate it, Minister. You are very welcome.
Organize with them. Okay, thank you. On behalf of the government of the United Republic of Tanzania, I would like to take this opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to the mandate and the spirit of.
Thank you, Minister. If you put your mic on, please.
Do you hear me now? Hello, do you hear me now? Hello, do you hear me now? Hello, do you hear me now?
Yes, you can go ahead. We hear you.
Hello? Hello? Do you hear me now? Hello, hello?
You can go ahead. We can hear you.
Hello?
Please proceed, Minister.
Yes, do you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello? Hello? Okay, the United Republic of Tanzania is being lauded regionally and internationally as having so far a showcase one of response against the pandemic. Tanzania made a sober decision not to lock down the country, rather continue with development activities. We opted for, and today we continue to use a combination of modern and traditional sciences. We encourage the people not to fear, rather to exercise care, including social and physical distance measures, hand washing, and use of masks, as well as rely on their different faiths, including hope and key factors in overcoming any challenging situation they face. The government of United Republic of Tanzania has the welfare of its people at the forefront of response measures to COVID-19. When the pandemic broke out in Tanzania on 16 March of 2020, the government took immediate measures, including advertising the public to avoid non-essential travel. And as we speak, the COVID-19 affected countries, a mandatory quarantine of 14 days for travelers coming into the countries from the most affected areas, issues of the travel permits for civil servants to countries reported to have coronavirus cases, suspension of national events such as the Uhuru Torch Race of the 2020 Workers' Day and the Uhuru Union Day, and redirecting the allocated funds to improve the health facilities needed to handle COVID-19 cases, closing all primary schools and secondary schools, colleges and universities, and banning some public gatherings like seminars, forums, festivals, as well as sports and activities, including leagues. But as we speak, the government recognizes that the accurate information is the key in combating COVID-19. Precautionary measures are being disseminated throughout the country as a national communication strategy for COVID-19 covers for the village and the ward level to the district and regional levels, both local government and central government. Honorable Chairperson, from good governance perspective, all ministries, agencies, institutions have complied with the government directives to install hand washing stations, use of masks, check temperatures of all persons entering their premises. These directives are also being implemented by the private sector. Ministries have also been issuing directives to stakeholders and the partners to comply with preventive measures issued by the government. Further, in the realization of civil and political rights, it will and continue to be important to respect the fundamental democratic principles of the right to vote in anticipation of the upcoming national election in October 2020. In this regard, the second updating of the voters registration book took place in COVID-19, and the preventive measures, including physical distancing, hand washing, use of antiseptics, wearing of masks and gloves by attendants, meaning the updating process was practiced. Chairperson, the right to equality before the law and the equality before the law and the equal protection by the law is being addressed by the government as it is guarantees access to justice during the COVID-19 pandemic. Our priority area was prisons and place of detention due to the populace of 3,717 prisoners have been released to decongest the population, and every prison established a committee, including district and regional health workers, to monitor and track the instances of COVID-19 in the prisons. Chairperson, the United Republic of Tanzania subscribes to human rights-based approach to development with high quality livelihood on the freedom from abject poverty being key attributes of Development Vision 2025, which is superheaded by industrialization. The economy has been growing at an average of 6.9% during the past 4 years, compared with the average of 6.4 up to 2015, causing IMF report of 2019 to list Tanzania as among the 10 largest economies growing in Africa. Further, on 1st of July 2020, the World Bank categorized the United Republic of Tanzania to low middle income status. This status had been achieved much earlier than the projected as Vision 2025 envisions attain the middle income economy status by 2025. The government managed this feat by organizing itself strategically with progressive investment in primary activities, which is a key in the process of lifting people out of poverty. Some of the examples, electrification projects, which is an essential to industrialization, have been contributed to this rapid development. 9,120 villages out of a total of 12,268 in the whole country have been electrified, compared to only 2,000 villages in the past 5 years. At the same time, the overall electricity access in the country has increased from 38 coverages in 2015 to over 84% in 2020. The source of electricity are also being diversified signature achievement is in the continuing construction of the Julius Nyerere hydropower project with a capacity of over 2,115 megawatts per month. The project will not only power Tanzania, but will also ensure energy surplus that will also be availed to the region within which Tanzania is situated. Chairperson, preliminary government assessment to show that due to COVID-19, real GDP growth rate for 2020 will decline from the initial projection of 6.9% to 5.5%. This comparatively modest economic shock is a result of decision of not undergoing lockdown as most countries did. I just endorse this one, that Tanzania decided not to lock down and all production activities continued. What was insisted are those measures which are essentially necessary for combating the pandemic. Tanzania has not been operating in silos in addressing COVID-19. There are strong collaboration and support from international organizations, development partners, and private sector, civil society, religious and community leaders. These actors have also helped with the resource mobilization. The G20 proposed bilateral official creditors to grant relief to low-income countries, including Tanzania by that time. And this arrangement involved suspending debt services from May to December 2020 and use of savings to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 pandemic and rescuing the economy from the disaster. The government is also discussing with various international financial
Minister, I hope you are wrapping up.
The government is also in discussion with various international financial institutions to assess financing for COVID-19 to stabilize the economy. In these discussions on 10th June 2020, the IMF board approved a debt relief of $14.3 million and catastrophe containment relief trustee CCCRT. The government has been, the United Republic of Tanzania is now in the process of resuming normal activities, has already opened up the education sector, the tourist sector, sports and the aviation services, and the government continues to urge the people to exercise care and good health practices, because as we all understand, it is not over yet. This message is also being clearly disseminated to the public, and the people continue to be cautioned to take all the necessary precautions. We encourage our fellow African countries and the world community at large to do its best in this uncharted territory, avoid fear, be hopeful, and allow experts as local levels to determine the right path to take. Regions and international cooperation should not lose sight of these key factors to the success. Our President's Honorable John Joseph Pombe Magufuli encouraged the people and brought hope to a large extent. This reduced the confusion and finally retained people to take the right direction while observing the necessary measures and directives from our health sector directors, who have directed them in the right direction to make sure that we observe the directives, and at the same time everything goes as well, rather than creating confusion, which could cause another problem apart from the COVID itself, as we have seen in some of the previous discussion, which have involved some other problems, including violation of human rights.
Thank you, Minister.
Of combating COVID-19. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity.
Thank you very much, Minister, for your statement. Our Commission welcomes the measures taken by Tanzania in order to protect the people in Tanzania from contracting COVID and the impacts of COVID. We also welcome the preparations that are being made in Tanzania for the upcoming elections expected to take place in October. And we do hope that these preparations are done in accordance with the human rights provided for in the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and under conditions that ensure that the right to health is also protected from COVID-19. Minister, we very much appreciate the various initiatives relating to the fulfillment of human rights. I would like to note that our commission has issued a statement. It had also sent urgent letter of appeal to the Excellency President Magufuli in relation to various human rights issues that have been brought to our attention. We look forward to the response of the United Republic of Tanzania to these human rights issues that we have raised. And we do also hope that as Tanzania becomes a low middle state, middle income country, that its efforts would be increasing expansion of the enjoyment of human and people's rights in Tanzania. And in that respect, we do hope that the Republic of Tanzania reconsiders recent laws that have been adopted restricting public interest litigation in Tanzania, which is critical for citizens to exercise their rights and particularly access to justice through public interest litigation. Once again, thank you very much, Minister, and we are very pleased for you joining us for this session of the Commission and making your statement. The next is the National Human Rights Commission of Sahrawi, affiliation number 26. Abba El Hassan Salek would be the one making the presentation. Are you there? We have been informed that Abba El Hassan Salek is present. Abba El Hassan Salek, are you there, please?
Allô? Allô?
Yes.
Oui?
Yes. Can you put on the camera as well, the video?
Allô? Oui? Oui?
Please put on the video and take the floor.
Je sais pas comment ça se fonctionne. Allô?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you put the video on and take the floor, please?
Allô? Allô?
Hello, we can hear you. We can hear you, please. Can you put the video on and take the floor?
Allô?
It looks like that we are having a technical problem Okay, there you are. Please proceed. Thank you. Please switch on your mic and proceed. Thank you. Welcome.
Allô? Bonjour. Vous m'entendez? OK. Monsieur le Président,
Yes, we can hear you now. We can hear you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Monsieur le Président, Mesdames, Messieurs, membres de la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et du peuple, distingués délégués. La Commission nationale sahraoui des droits de l'homme souhaite rappeler les dispositions pertinentes de la Charte africaine, en particulier les articles 4 relatifs au droit à la vie, l'article 9 relatif au droit d'accès à l'information et l'article 16 concernant le droit à la santé. Dans mon pays, Dieu merci et grâce à Dieu et grâce aux mesures de précaution prises par le gouvernement sahraoui, depuis le début, nous n'avons enregistré aucun cas jusqu'à présent et cela est dû à la coopération totale de toutes les autorités locales et régionales, de la société civile et des citoyens à travers des programmes de sensibilisation et au respect des mesures prises pour éviter l'épidémie. Dans le cadre de ces efforts, la Commission nationale sahraoui des droits de l'homme, par son appartenance au mécanisme national pour la prévention du virus corona, a contribué à des programmes de sensibilisation ciblant les citoyens par le biais des médias nationaux et en distribuant des brochures sur le sujet. Dans ce contexte aussi, nous remercions l'Algérie qui a contribué à la construction d'un hôpital de campagne dans les camps de réfugiés sahraouis dédiés à cet effet. Monsieur le Président, nous suivons avec une grande préoccupation les informations reçues des territoires occupés de la République sahraoui qui indiquent que le virus corona COVID-19 s'est largement répandu dans ces zones qui étaient indignes de cette épidémie jusqu'à récemment. Plus de 500 cas ont été signalés par les médias marocains, notamment dans les villes de l'Ayoun et Boujdour et Dakhla, malgré les tentatives des autorités marocaines de dissimuler ces données et ces chiffres effrayants. Cette situation inquiétante est le résultat direct du mépris des autorités marocaines d'occupation contre les civils sahraouis sous l'occupation, en permettant à de nombreuses personnes et des colons transportant du Covid-19 d'entrer dans ces villes sahraouis du Sahara occidental et de recruter des travailleurs et des colons sans respecter les règles minimales de la quarantaine et de la prévention. Et nous le considérons comme tel un comportement irresponsable. Monsieur le Président, alors que l'épidémie de Covid-19 continue de se propager, de propager dans le monde entier, y compris au Maroc, la situation des prisonniers civils sahraouis dans les prisons marocaines continue de susciter des inquiétudes en raison des conditions inhumaines qui règnent dans les prisons du Maroc. Telles sont les inquiétudes exprimées par le président de la République sahraoui, M. Brahim Ghali, dans son lettre du 22 mars 2020 et adressée au président du Conseil de sécurité et au président de la Commission de l'Union africaine. Sur la base de ce qui précède, nous tenons l'État marocain pleinement responsable de la vie des prisonniers civils sahraouis dans ces prisons. En conclusion, Monsieur le Président, notre commission prie instamment, comme nous l'avons déjà répété à maintes reprises, de mettre en œuvre la décision prise par le Conseil exécutif de l'Union africaine
a decisão do Conselho Executivo
qui invite la Commission africaine des
que
droits de l'homme
convida a Comissão Africana
à visiter les territoires occupés de la République
os territórios
sahraoui
ocupados da República
pour enquêter sur la réalité alarmante de la situation des droits de l'homme et des peuples. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abba Halsan, for your statement regarding the state of human rights in the Arab Republic of Sahrawi, and the role that your institution plays in monitoring the human rights situation, and also the communication that you have sent to the African Union Commission chairperson, and the request that you have extended to the African Commission on Human and People's Rights for it to undertake a visit. We take note of your statement. We now have from the list that have been prepared, that have been presented to us, the last speaker, and this would be from IPSA Africa Alliance, Eric Mundia, observer status number 421. Mr. Mundia, if you are here, kindly put on your mic and the video and take the floor to deliver your statement. Do we have IPAS, apologies, IPAS Africa Alliance? IPAS Africa Alliance. Do we have the representative of IPAS Africa Alliance? Okay, I don't have any indication on the chat box or from my colleagues at the Secretariat that the representative of IPAS Africa Alliance is with us to take the floor. This means that we have exhausted the list of speakers we have received thus far. Speakers who have also submitted their statements as per usual procedure for taking the floor during the public session of the Commission. Those colleagues who would like to take the floor but didn't send their statements, I'm informed that you are requested to submit your statements so that we put you on the list for you to take the floor when we continue agenda item 3 tomorrow. This is the agenda item on the situation of human rights in Africa with a focus on human and people's rights in the context of COVID-19. I would like at this point in time to thank all the colleagues who have taken the floor to present their statements, highlighting a wide range of human rights issues, not only those arising in the context of COVID, but also those that are not necessarily related to COVID. We very much appreciate the statements from state parties to the African Charter, from NGOs with observer status, and from the National Human Rights Commission. This brings us excellencies, representatives of state parties, colleagues, members, representatives of NHRIs and civil society organizations, to the end of today's public session of the first day of the 66th ordinary session of the African Commission. We look forward to you joining us tomorrow. And in the meantime, I would like to urge representatives of state parties, national human rights organizations, and civil society organizations with observer status to kindly register and for delivering the statement following the usual applicable procedures. All the information that you may wish to have is on the website of the Commission once again for you to go make the necessary registration and also to take the floor. We look forward to you joining us tomorrow for the second day of the 66th ordinary session of the Commission, which is taking place virtually And I do hope that each and every one of you take a good care of yourself and do observe all the necessary precautionary measures for your health and safety, and help others to do the same. Thank you once again very much. Have a good afternoon, a good evening, and see you tomorrow. So tomorrow we will resume the session at 9 a.m. GMT, 9 GMT. So if you organize therefore your time according to where you are, I think 9 GMT for those of us in East Africa, it is at noon. For those in West Africa, particularly in Banjul, it is actually 9 a.m. in the morning. And there are many between this and even outside of this. So we will see you at 9 GMT tomorrow morning. And kindly note that you will use the same link that you have used for joining us this afternoon. Thank you once again to all the colleagues who have made this possible. Kindly bear with us with some of the difficulties that we have been encountering in terms of connection for making the statements. We do hope that as the session unfolds in full swing, we will have a mastery of how to do it more efficiently and effectively, observing all the applicable standards in terms of time and in terms of also connectivity. Thank you very much once again. Have a good evening, good afternoon.